Hello, and welcome to this Throwback Thursday video about the performer, not the skater, the only one in the actual 32 list of names in the Hot Ice Dreams cast who isn't a skater in the show. ALEXEY Kofanov, of course, we're talking about. Now, if I had to guess, if someone said to me, do you reckon he can skate? I'm sure he probably can. I mean, he's Russian. It's quite a Russian thing to do, ice skating, I think. But, not just that. I just reckon he would be able to do it because, you know, he's obviously a talented guy anyway, so he could probably skate. But he doesn't do it in the show because, what? It's probably not his, maybe it's not the field of expertise that he chooses to do in the show. Maybe he does skate in some shows. I don't know. But the point is that he's a gymnast, isn't he? He's an aerialist, an acrobat, probably all of those things. I don't know. I'm not like totes well up on the definitions or anything. But, yeah. He is in the show. In the guise of, okay, so he has two main sections. Let's start with those. So, in Act 1, you will see him in, sometimes I call it the bed bit, just because sometimes it's basically a block. It's a block with a pole coming off it, right? But just because of the way the scene is staged, I don't know. I always think of it being a bed. Maybe that's just my mind. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Because he starts off lying on it, doesn't he? And you've got two skaters as well with him, Kelsey Russell and Charlotte Waring. And he basically does a lot of moves on the block, doesn't he? And then he's on the pole doing incredible things. That sounds wrong. But things like I will say, there's always a place in the show, really, that I tend to whoop pretty much all the time. Or, okay, fine, I don't always whoop loads in his bits, just because I feel like it's a bit inappropriate. That's just me. I'm immature, okay? Go with it. So, I don't always, but if I am going to whoop in this section that he does, it will be at the point where he it looks like he's kind of sat cross-legged, but on the pole. And then he leans back and puts his arms out whilst on the pole. I just don't get it. The strength in his calves to do that. How can we even comprehend it? Well, we can't. So, yeah, I tend to whoop then, if I'm feeling like it, because it's I still don't get it. I can watch him do it all this time. I mean, how many times did you go see the show? I've still not calculated it. I think it was maybe about 35. Of course, not all of those will have had that scene in it, because some of them will have been Act 2 matinees. But I've still seen him do it a lot, because I saw him do it last year as well. So, I've seen him do it a lot of times, but it's still very impressive. Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie and say I enjoy watching ALEXEY Kovanov's bit in the show as much as the skating, because it is a skating show and I love the skating. But I understand why they need to be in there, like costume changes and whatnot, and also I understand why it's in there on its standalone, because it's very impressive. And you know, whilst I tend to go and see it because I love the skating and I want to see skating. I still appreciate that it's good. So yeah, and then of course there's the bit where the pole, which is swinging around, he's balanced on it in I don't know, I call it the airplane pose, with his arms stretched out, and it's on his belly. The pole's on his belly, and you're thinking, doesn't that hurt? And he's just looking no, doesn't hurt. It's quite amazing. Yeah. And you've got Kelsey Russell and Charlotte Waring flouncing about him as if I don't know, what are they trying to play? The girl in the video. Not the girl in the video, the girl in the song, because the songs are she's my temptation, da 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 da, she's my obsession, and all that. You know the track. The bit I usually kind of mime when it goes da 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 5.0. That was 5.0. I always remember that. Don't know why. And then I think, lust is binary. How can your lust be binary? And my dad has actually explained what binary means. Like, it's kind of like one or the other, like two. Something to do with two. Anyway, I don't get how lust can be binary. But hey ho, there's the lyrics, I think. Unless I've misheard them, like I do quite often. So the other bit is the, by now of course, I'm sure, famous bath scene, because it has been going years, hasn't it? It is amazing, it is, I will say that. My mum, bless her cotton socks, did describe it as the silly bath bit. It's not a silly bath bit. I'm like, come on mum, can't you see what he's doing there? It's art, it's creative, it's wonderful, it's amazing. I don't know where to put my eyes because can't you just wear shorts that are like a darker colour? That's all I'm going to say. But apparently not. That's the costume and that's what he wears, so fair enough. And yeah, it's basically him in a bath, isn't it? A bathtub. It's actually a bathtub on the ice that gets pushed in by 4 skaters who I keep trying to see the identity of, but I never really got that far. I do think one of them was Artem Kraimov. Was one of them James Horrocks as well? I'm not sure. But I kept trying to see every time they like pushed the block or the bath on and then off. I was always trying to see which skaters it was. It was skaters it were? I don't know. I was always trying to see who it was, but I never really got that far. Anyway, yeah, so they come push the bath on with him in it. I wonder if that was hard to do. Just take 4 of them. Anyway, yeah, and you know, the music comes and yeah, it's very good. Yeah, and he's basically, well, what does he do? He emerges out of it. I always say looking like an alien. He does, like a cute one, you know. And that's not. I'm not trying to be offensive when I say that. Like he does look. It looks a bit weird the way he just kind of like slowly can like. Okay, I'm just digging a hole now. But yeah, I always think the term alien. Maybe just the fact he's wet as well. I don't know. But yeah. So, he emerges out of the water, and, well, that's after you see the hand come up. The hand comes up first, doesn't it? Shoots up. And then the other hand, and then he emerges. Well, anyway, and the bit I find most impressive about that bit in the bath, I would say, is when he kind of holds on to the sides of the bath, and then he's, propels himself over it, and then he's just holding on to it, holding on to the sides, and then his body is basically like going back, and then it goes like all the way back, and then he holds it like that, and I'm just like, how are you doing that, and how are you not slipping with all the water, and just, how? The strength, again, hashtag the strength, I don't know. Well, years of training, his body, no doubt, and yeah, very talented. And the straps come down, because then he starts doing his aerialist bit, whatnot, doesn't he? And the bit I like in that is when he, like, twists up on them, and, like, holds it up there. I just think, like, the strength, and then when he, like, he twists up on them, and then he twists down again. Yeah, like, I like those bits. I don't like it, I must say, when I end up in block 7 and it's like you're like directly facing him. That is not a comfortable feeling for me personally. But normally I can handle it just fine from the premium seats because, you know, the bath's quite a way away. But it's very good, obviously. You know, what I'm not going to say it's not good, because it is. It's a pretty good scene. So, yeah. Those are his 2 major bits, ALEXEY KOFANOV. Also, he does bits on the stage, of course. Or, you will see him, oh, we've got to mention this, in the blue scene, where the guys have rain sticks and the girls have hats. He's like, what, I don't know, some kind of chief, with all the blue feathers headdress thing, and his big stick. And at one point it looks like, I don't know if it was choreographed that way intentionally, probably, I don't even know. When he like goes out, it seems like he's like commanding all the lads, the chief of the lads. And he's prancing around the arena, scaring people. It's ace. Adds a great fun element to the show, I love it. The kids must love it, I'm sure. So yeah, that's great. Also he does bits on the stage, like, I didn't notice this till I didn't notice this till quite late on actually, that he's on the stage for the Spanishy routine. Like he starts off behind the screen, doesn't he? And you can see it's him and I think Alex Murphy, like behind the feathers, and then you see him obviously on stage in the same outfit as the guys, the Spanishy sort of jacket and whatnot. It might not be the same exactly, but looks similar. Anyway, then of course, worst thing I could do, I meant to ask someone in the show this, but I never did. Is it always him behind that screen, or is that some kind of recording? Because you can tell it's him, you can tell it's ALEXEY KOFANOV, it's his body shape behind the screen, where he's like, it's just like a shadow of him or something, and he's doing, is it sign language, is it, to the words, you know? Worst thing I could do. That's really moving. Yeah, I love that. Listen, I need you to know. Yeah. Of course, I'm looking at Lukash at that point. I'm looking at the people actually skating in that routine, but you do notice what he's doing on the stage behind the screen. I presume he is on stage every single night for that, every single show. I presume he is. I presume it's not just some recording. I would say it's just him, isn't it? With some like a light shining, so he's just silhouetted sort of thing, I'd presume. And then of course he's on stage in the white scene with the fire sticks, because he's like holding the fire, isn't he? And the guys either take their fire from his or from the two stands, is it? I really do like that bit, and I do watch the stage a lot in the white scene, I'll say. And then of course he's on stage for what else was I going to mention? I'm sure he's on stage for another bit, is he? Let's see, I could do the Spanishy one, the white one. I'm probably missing some numbers actually. He's probably on stage for other numbers as well, but I can't really think. But obviously, we can jump to the finale because he definitely comes on stage for that, where he's in pink in the coat. I feel for him having to be there when of course he's just been in our bath. But anyway, so especially when he was having to sign after the show, the pictures. And you could tell he was still not quite all dry. But yeah, he comes on to take a bow so we can all cheer for him, and you know I do. So yeah. So how should we sum up ALEXEY KOFANOV in hot ice? I'll say he is very impressive and strong. Make me strong. Okay, bye.